Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions in the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, social media, sports, lifestyle, everything really. Depending on the guest, we talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis, and on social media, you know me as PD Beats. You will recognize my guest from a show called Bless This Mess on ABC. We're with JT Neal. JT, welcome to Popternative, man.
I'm happy to be here. I'm a first timer on the show.
Yeah, and hopefully if you like it, you could be a two-timer and a three-timer. I mean,
hopefully.
It's a test now, right? Like I have to do a good job. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
I got to do a good job too. I guess it goes both ways, huh? It's got to be mutually beneficial. Otherwise, this whole thing falls apart.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. Congrats on the success of Bless This Mess. Really funny show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for saying that.
How's the quarantine been for you so far?
It's the greatest thing to ever happen to me in my entire life, and I'm happy that it's the worst. I want to go see my family, and I want to, go out and hang out with my friends, and it's hard right now, but hopefully if everybody can kind of work together, we can get through it as quickly as possible.
Absolutely. So JT, whether people like yourself, whether you act, whether you play music, whether you write, whether you produce, you're all storytellers. When did JT Neal decide he wanted to be a storyteller?
I think JT Neal decided he wanted to be a storyteller as soon as he was capable of telling a story. Like I mean, as soon as I was able to talk, I was telling stories.
That's a good answer. Because that's my hallmark question. Like I ask everyone that's up there. Good job. You're doing well so far. Keep it up.
Thank God. It was, I always liked watching movies with my parents, and I would reenact the movies, and I would memorize scenes really easily. And so it was always just something that I loved to do, just, reliving these moments and reliving these stories.
Absolutely. So Bless This Mess, one thing, like for people that check it out for the first time, they're going to notice the thing that kind of caught my eye when I found out about the show is how amazing the cast is. Like this is a great cast.
Yeah. I would say we got lucky, but we had incredible casting directors putting it all together. So it's not really luck. It's wonderful people.
I mean, you get to work with some people that have been in some of like the biggest shows and movies like in the world, essentially. Talk a little bit about how that's been kind of working with that stellar cast.
Well, at first it was really intimidating. I had never done anything quite this big before with people this successful or this famous or influential. I mean, I was at my first table read sitting next to Jackie Brown. When does that happen? But they have all just been so kind and generous and so loving through all of it. I mean, immediately they were like, "Okay, call me Auntie Pam. I'm Ed. Nice to." We're all just a family now. It's incredible.
So the show is about a family.
Yeah.
And it's got its crazy moments, you know what I mean?
Yeah, as does every family, right? And I think the beautiful thing about Bless This Mess is that it's not just the family of Mike and Rio or the Bowmans, it's the family of this community coming together to help each other out in times of need.
Absolutely. You're not the first Bless This Mess guest on the show, though.
Who did you have before?
I had Lisa Linke. She's been on my show.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sorry. This interview is going to pale.
She is so funny. Like she is genuinely one of the funniest people.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things like comedy, and you're seeing a lot of people in TV shows like Bless This Mess that come from the comedy background and like the stand-up comedy. And it's like you wouldn't know that they did only comedy before. Like it just seems like it's so natural to them just to kind of go and do a TV show.
Yeah, and our show has so many incredible improvisers. I mean, I think half of our cast went through the UCB or Groundlings or something. They're all from like the Chicago or Georgia improv scene. I mean, all of them. And then there's me. Did
you have any experience of improv before the show, JT?
Yeah, I mean, I went to an arts magnet high school in Dallas, and I took a lot of classes and everything, and I've taken improv classes, but I've never gone through a formal, multi years long training program like they have.
No,
So
absolutely.
not the same level, but on a basic level.
I feel like a lot of the improv is like a prerequisite too to go on like like the skit shows like SNL but I find it funny I always find it funny. Have you noticed that like a lot of the people that have been like that are on SNL, Saturday Night Live, they started in improv groups and do that, but
Yeah.
but they get to rehearse the skits they do at SNL.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that definitely they rehearse it and everything, but there are aspects and moments in comedy that I've found that you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to think quickly on your feet because something can happen in a scene and you have to really know how to bring it back to where it needs to go.
Absolutely. You might have answered the hardest part about working on a show like Bless This Mess because you said it was a little bit intimidating before, like to work. So I'm not going to ask that then because I was going to ask you basically you ruined my questions. Good job.
Sorry. Oh, God.
Well, no, I was going to ask
like what perfect record.
I was going to ask like what the best thing about working on Bless This Mess is and what's the hardest thing about working on Bless This Mess. So you already answered the second question. So JT, what's the best thing about working on Bless This Mess?
I think that it's the intimidating cast. I think that our cast is just, you said it. I mean, not only they are incredible actors, they're just incredible people, and they've made the job just so easy. I go to work and it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel laborious in any way. And sometimes we'll have really long days where we're in a dusty barn because we shoot on location, and it's kind of a hostile work environment half the time. It's real dusty and windy, and but nobody ever complains. We're all there and trying to make the best product, and that's a testament to the cast and crew that they've assembled.
Were you aware of some of the work from like your fellow castmates before Bless This Mess? Like, did you watch anything with Dax Shepard or with Lake Bell or?
Of course, yeah. I mean, I must have been living under a rock to not have seen stuff that they've been in. It's like all of them have been in everything since the beginning of my film experience. Every film that I watched in college had one of them in it.
Absolutely.
We watched Jackie Brown in film school.
Yeah.
It's like these are just legends, and now they're just family.
Dax Shepard. I mean, one of my favorite movies. You've seen Employee of the Month?
Oh, absolutely.
I love that movie.
It's amazing. I told him about it. The first dinner that we had a cast dinner right before we shot the pilot, and I was so nervous to tell him like, "Hey man, I was such a big fan of Employee of the Month," and he was just so sweet about it. He was like, "Thank you. You must have been what, like 10 years old when that came out?"
That movie, man, you know what? I miss a lot of those movies. I miss a lot of those just like funny, like I mean that one not necessarily is like a teen movie, but like I miss that kind of genre of movies. Like remember Accepted with Justin Long where they make a fake college? Love that movie.
Favorite movies of all time.
It's so good.
It's amazing.
I actually was just on I do a lot of Instagram lives, and I did an Instagram live with Nick Cirillo, who's in Outer Banks, which was on Netflix.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about a bunch of movies, and we were talking about like Accepted and School of Rock, which is one of my favorite movies. And Napoleon Dynamite, and
I feel like Accepted really kind of flew under the radar. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember it being this huge success. But I mean, it's got Jonah Hill. I mean, it's such an incredible movie. The writing is brilliant. Justin Long is amazing.
He is. Good. I feel like do you find he's underrated? Like, people don't talk. Like, I love Justin Long.
Yeah. And I think that I don't know if I would say that he's underrated because I feel like he does get to do a lot of really fun things.
Yeah, absolutely.
New Girl, he did Dodgeball, he did Accepted. Like, he's constantly in things. And what was it? He's Just Not That Into You. He did that as well.
Yes.
He's done some really great projects, but he's just kind of he seems like just such a regular guy that maybe that's why he's been able to kind of lay low for the most part. I don't know.
I feel like me and you could talk about movies for like an
It's
hour.
it's my favorite topic.
It's also an amazing time, obviously, for TV. Some people are saying that this is arguably like the last 5 years, JT, is like the golden age of television with the amount of amazing content that's out right now. What have you kind of noticed about the television and the streaming services in the last like couple of years?
Well, I don't know. I've definitely noticed like an audience shift. Because I've done some Netflix projects, and the audiences on the Netflix movies just flock to you.
Was that on Netflix?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Netflix. We did the movie, and then we did the series, and we have another movie coming out soon. And people just, immediately overnight, like I went onto Instagram and I had 7,000 new followers. And that's the thing about streaming that is so fascinating, is that it's so immediate and it's like instant gratification. It's like, okay, this is going to hit and everyone's going to see it. Whereas like in the past, to see a movie, you'd have to go to the theater, or to see a new TV show, you'd have to get on TV and like watch it on TV the night that it came on and make sure that you had it recorded on the time. And so now it's like, it's just more accessible with streaming services. It's really kind of, I think it's the future.
Absolutely. Netflix specifically is just like pumping out so much stuff. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. And now with all of these network shows, like Bless This Mess is available on Hulu.
It is on Hulu. Yep.
Shameless plug. And I think that's helping people to find the show, because a lot of people are like, I don't even have cable anymore, but I have Hulu. And they're finding it that way.
Have you had some people? I mean, it takes place in a different area than like Modern Family, but have you had some people kind of come up to you and like compare it a little bit to like Modern Family or Life with Pieces? Like it's like that family show, right?
Yeah. I've seen I've seen people compare it to various shows. People were talking about like Schitt's Creek and Modern Family, and I feel so honored to even be mentioned in the same breath as those shows. I think that they've done incredible things with comedy and storytelling.
Schitt's Creek Canadian. I'm Canadian.
Come on. Yeah, that's one of my girlfriend's favorite shows. And so to be compared to any of those is an honor.
It's pretty cool because so here in Canada, you have to understand that there's a stigma attached to Canadian TV shows. Like when we grew up in Canada, like Canadian TV shows weren't as good or didn't get as much reception. That was a thing, right? And I talked to a bunch of people, and now there's all these amazing shows right now that are Canadian shows. Like, for example, there are shows like Lock and Key, which is on Netflix, which is an American production, but it's filmed in Toronto. So a lot of people I grew up with and I know from Toronto and Montreal are in that show. But there are shows like Schitt's Creek, Working Moms, Kim's Convenience, Letterkenny. These are all like Canadian production, like comedy shows that got distribution like globally in North America and are just like killing it right now. And it's amazing to see.
Yeah, and I think that that's another thing that streaming has really kind of allowed for, is people to find these new things that in the past have kind of fallen to the wayside because they're not the mainstream. They're not ABC, NBC, CBS. It's, they're a little bit more obscure or whatever, or they're coming from Canada, and so people just aren't seeing them. So I'm glad that people are able to see them now.
You know what show? Not that much, but a little bit. You know what Bless This Mess reminds me of a little bit, like the dynamics? Do you remember Raising Hope?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you know where I'm getting at a little bit?
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
Not straight up, but like I feel like there's a little bit of kind of a similarity with some of the jokes and some of the situations.
And the timing is very witty and it's very quick. Garrett Dillahunt, right? Yeah, it was a great show. You
know what I found out too? Like, Greg Daniels, who created The Office. Genius.
Yeah.
Like, really? Do you realize, like, he has Space Force that comes out, like, May 29th, and he created Upload, which is on Amazon, and I don't know if you saw that yet, but that show is amazing.
No spoilers.
He pumps out amazing shows. Yeah.
Everything he touches turns to gold. Jim O'Hare is on Bless This Mess, and he plays Jerry on Parks and Rec. He talks about working with Greg and how collaborative he with the actors, and I think that's what makes him such an incredible showrunner, such an incredible creator.
Like, I don't think people realize, because what's happening is Upload got released like a couple of weeks ago, and it's already got picked up for season 2 on Amazon Prime. And a lot of people don't realize that that's like one of his shows. Like, it's not like he just was like involved a little bit. Like, he created that show as well.
Yeah. Well, which I think is his style, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's very involved with his projects. It's not like, hey, I'm going to slap my name on this and walk away. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm going to make sure that this is exactly what I want it to be.
No, absolutely. Have you watched Tiger King yet?
Yeah, I watched Tiger King.
So I actually Saf came on my show.
Really?
Yeah, I interviewed Saf. He was awesome, and we were talking. It was so cool to chat with Saf about everything.
He seemed like the most level-headed one in the whole series. the one with his arm ripped off, I was like, this is the one I want to walk through the fire with.
I'm going on Instagram Live with him like next week.
That's amazing.
So, but it's just like, he's just like, we found out like the day before. He said they all found out it was like a show on Netflix the day before they posted on Netflix.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Here's a fun little fact. If it gives you any insight.
Actually, I think I saw. Are you gonna say something that you said in the AfterBuzz interview about your high school?
Yeah, Joe Exotic graduated from my hometown high school in Pilot Point, Texas.
Why do you think I asked you the Tiger King question? How am I doing? Am I doing okay?
Yeah, you've done your research. Yeah, that's awesome. He graduated from Pilot Point High School.
And that was the school you could have went to if you stayed in your hometown. Correct.
Yeah, I did not graduate from Pilot Point, so I don't have that much in common with Joe Exotic, but I have enough that it's scary to me.
Have you kind of found, like, I'm asking a lot of people this because you talked about like going up a lot of followers on social media with Bless This Mess and everything you're doing, but have you found during this quarantine a lot more people are watching content right now? Have you found a little bit of a spike in like your interactions and your social media a little bit, or has it been kind of relatively the same?
You know, I'm not really much of one for social media anyway, so I could probably be doing a lot more with Instagram Lives or with, posting on my page or anything. It's all kind of about Bless This Mess or about my work. And so it's been pretty steady for me just because I think I'm not churning out content all the time. But I see some people in this time that are really incredible at social media. Yeah. Some of my friends that are just like, skyrocketing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a crazy time. Well, JT, thank you so much for coming on Popternative, man.
This was so much fun. Thank you.
Of course. Where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
I'm JT-Neal on Instagram and JT_Neal_IV on Twitter.
And they can watch Bless This Mess on ABC and Hulu.
Correct. Yeah, seasons 1 and 2.
Well, thank you so much, man. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and hopefully we could get you back on one day, or maybe even do like an Instagram Live and just talk about movies all the time.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Well, this has been Popternative. Catch JT Neal and the rest of the amazing cast and Bless This Mess on ABC and on Hulu seasons 1 and 2. Until next time, this is JT Neal and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.